Welcome to the Growth and Banter podcast. My name is Blake McCullough, CEO and founder of GMS Media Group, one of Australia's leading advertising and consulting agencies. This podcast is for anyone looking to learn the insights and strategies from industry leaders and how to live a successful and sustainable life. Today, we're joined by my good friend Tor Minell, and she's going to share her journey with Recipes by Victoria and how she's amassed 1.4 million followers on Instagram and 1.6 million followers on TikTok and 100,000 Substack subscribers. I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Tor.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Now, aside from catching up, we're here to talk about Recipes by Victoria and how you've amassed over 1.4 million followers on Instagram, 1.6 on TikTok, and over 100,000 subscribers. You've only done this in the last 2 years as well. So I'd love to start off and just get a good idea of how this came about and how you have amassed such an audience in such a short period of time.
Well, I've been in marketing for the last, 10 years now, always kind of leading the marketing strategies, a range of different brands. So Bumble, Menulog, Equolution.
Equolution, yeah. We were working on that campaign when you were there.
We worked together. And I just kind of started posting as a hobby. So I've always loved to cook. And I just thought, well, why not give it a go on TikTok? And I kind of started it well after COVID. So I was kind of late to the platform. I just didn't need another kind of social media platform to spend more hours scrolling on.
Fully.
So it was well after COVID, and I just started posting recipes that I love to cook, and then it just kind of blew up and transitioned from full-time marketing role to doing this full-time, which
insane.
Is super
and
exciting.
like recipes and cooking is such a viral thing online. Did you ever think it was going to get to this point? Like, what was the intention initially?
Absolutely not. I just started posting as a hobby, and I've always loved to cook weird and different recipes. Like I remember one of my ex-boyfriends like 5 years ago was like, you've got to do something in food. And I was like, what? Like I could be, I could write recipes for magazines, or I could become a recipe developer for companies, or I could maybe go into being a chef. But I just started posting as a hobby, and then it kind of blew up. I never really had a plan to go, okay, I want to post recipes online. It's kind of just come as I've gone, which is really exciting.
And how important were those like previous jobs? Like I know Equolution, they were big on recipes and, diet and plans and stuff like that. Like how important were those key roles? Like was there any sort of role in particular that led to this sort of breakthrough?
Nothing in particular. I think it's all of the companies that I've worked with combined. So at HelloFresh, I actually introduced recipe content there. So it was kind of like you would order the box and the food, and I would work with our external agency on coming up with recipe content so you knew exactly what was going in the box. So that's kind of the first experience I had with recipe development and content creation. And then Bumble obviously helped with like working by yourself, being in a small team, doing things from end to end. Menulog as well, because they're a huge food company. They taught me a lot about like outdoor advertising and the importance of kind of a full funnel approach. And then Equolution as well kind of taught me the most, because that's quite similar to what I do now. So social posting strategies, content creation specifically in the food industry, and what people really want to see. So there was no like one particular job that really helped. It was kind of a combination of all of them, which has kind of helped me get to where I am now. Yeah,
wow. Yeah, it's cool because we've known each other for over 15 years now.
Long time.
And my first job was in TV advertising at Multi-Channel Network, which is now Foxtel Media. And I remember meeting the original founder of Menulog and putting together a proposal for TV advertising on Foxtel.
Yeah.
And then he's since, sold out, I guess. And also Equolution with GMS. You work in there as well. So we've had a few different touch points there.
We have.
But I've never really like sat down with you and spoken about, how you've grown this. So it's quite interesting to hear.
Yeah.
In terms of like the recipes, was there one particular post, because obviously you're probably just dabbling in it, just doing it for a bit of fun. Was there any particular post or, reel that you made on TikTok that just blew up that you're like, fuck, okay, we're onto something?
Well, one of my first was the Green Goddess pasta, so the Green Goddess dip. It wasn't my recipe, but I just saw everyone was kind of making it and it was going viral. So I recreated that, and that was one of my first viral videos, which was really exciting. But I'd probably say what kind of really launched me into this career and my socials was the Big Mac wrap that I posted on TikTok.
I actually was looking at your page and I went and had a look at that. I'm like, fuck, I'm definitely cooking that.
Yeah, it was delicious, but it was 175 mil. Like,
wow.
That's how many views it got. So I think I woke up, I posted it, and then I
175 million.
Yeah, views on TikTok, which is wild. So I woke up and I think it had 20 mil, because I'll obviously post it at nighttime. go to sleep, wake up, and it had about 20 mil. And I was like, oh my God, 20 mil views in 12 hours. Like I get a little bit nervous, especially because my name's attached to it. And I'm like,
Were you just glued to your phone, just watching like all of this?
It's a bit addictive, as in like it's fun to kind of watch it go up. Like I dip out of the app, go back into it, swipe into it, and it's gone up 5 mil. Like it can literally just jump like crazy. The algorithm is nuts.
And meanwhile, the rest of the world is just refreshing and they're getting 1 like.
Yeah. Which is fine, you know, so like not all content performs amazingly. So I'd say the Big Mac wrap really launched me, but then it was kind of the fact that I've invented the sushi waffle. So no one had put sushi rice in a waffle maker before, because I've seen obviously crispy tuna rice is really popular at restaurants and it goes viral always on socials. But I thought of a different way to kind of make crispy rice by not frying it. And I was like, well, what could I do? You know, toast it. I've seen people put it in, you know, a baking tray in the oven, but I was like, a waffle maker will make it stay together. So that's like kind of what set me apart, was coming up with recipes that people haven't seen before. And then I just did a series of that. So, you know, you can top that with salmon, chicken, prawns. So I just kind of reinvent my own wheel of what success I see.
Yeah, because that waffle thing's gone crazy. Like I'm seeing people like put chips and make a waffle and like potato and all this random stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you actually like come up with new ideas though? Like I'm sure there's like lots of inspiration online, but a big part of your success, I think, has been cutting through that clutter and creating like original recipes from existing recipes. Like where do you get your ideas from without giving too much away?
No, everyone asks me this. It's honestly like a range of different things. So I look for inspiration online and then I think, how can I improve this or use a different kitchen appliance to make it more fun or different? It was funny, one of my friends, Ben, he was like to me, how do you come up with all your recipes? And I was like, well, I just think of really weird things. So I was like, give me 2 of your favorite foods. And he was like, oh, Peking duck and a chicken schnitzel. And I was like, easy, like make a Peking duck schnitzel, like just crumb the duck breast. And he was like, what? I didn't think of that. I was like, yeah, it's just like those kind of things. So yeah, it's kind of like I look at what works for me. So a lot of people love my sushi recipes. So I like one of my viral ones is viral sushi muffins. So I thought everyone loves sushi. They love watching it rolled up. They love it in a waffle maker, but how can I make little bites out of it? So I stuck nori in a muffin tray with some crispy rice and then topped it with different types of sushi. So salmon mixture, chicken teriyaki, and that went really viral. And that was actually an article on Good Morning America, which was exciting. So like another one that kind of set me apart.
And I've seen you on live TV too.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
I get so nervous when I go on live TV. So Arnott's, they asked me, it was about a year ago, it was for Easter. I made a viral recipe with their shortbread biscuits and it was cutting a huge Easter egg and then filling it with cream cheese. And
so that was last Easter, was it?
Last Easter, yeah. And they were like, oh, we really want you to go on live TV for it because it went so viral. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Like I get so nervous before
that
speaking.
Would be hard, let alone like talking, being on air and cooking.
And cooking, that's the thing.
Like, anything can go wrong.
Anything can go wrong. Like luckily it didn't. I was literally practicing every single day in the lead up how to cut this huge hollow Easter egg with a hot knife.
Fuck.
I think I bought like 40 Easter eggs. I actually bought I walked into Woolworths and I was like, can you go out the back and get me a box of them? And they were like,
no wonder there's a shortage.
Selfish. Yeah, she's taking all the Easter eggs from kids. But yeah, I was really nervous. And then I've done one again. It was, what was that one for? That was promoting their new meat pie shapes.
Wow, okay.
And then I'm going on, I think in a couple of weeks to promote their malto milk sandwiches.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was a whole year later.
Yeah, well, I think I'm getting more confident, and the hosts are always so nice, which is good.
You mentioned that you're getting some ideas from friends. Like, have you ever considered, because I know like a lot of, like, I remember there's like TikTok artists that do rapping and they're on the street and they just like pick 2 words and they make a song out of it. Have you ever like engaged your audience to get ideas, like throwing, different recipes out and then you just go and do it?
Heaps. I think like one of the biggest things at the moment is me engaging with my community. So even on my Substack, which is kind of a paywall hidden area where my community and I can discuss different recipes and things that they want to see, I'll always kind of ask them what they want to see next. So I've just started a high protein, low calorie meal prep because a lot of people are working at the moment, or they've got kids' lunch boxes and they want to plan ahead and save time. So they wanted to see meal prep recipes because a lot of my recipes aren't really meal prep. So they're like, this isn't really sustainable.
Yeah, it's a bit more like make and eat at the time, right?
Yeah. But in terms of inspiration, I ask my friends all the time, like, what have you guys seen that's cool lately? Or I'll even just toss some ideas up with friends and go, what do you think if I was to make a black bean pasta taco bowl, and I'll say, Tor, that's a little bit rogue, rein it in. Yeah.
So good. And like, I'm sure that there's some that have just been a disaster. Like, what's been some of the fails?
Oh, there are. I'll have to have a think. I can definitely burn some things because I guess when you're creating content and making a recipe at the same time, you've got to think about the angles and, what you're doing next, that you'll forget one of the elements in, the oven. So there's a lot of chips that have been burnt and things that I've forgotten, or, rice paper roll that's stuck to a chopping board and I've got to restart again. But no major fails.
I guess because it's like you're not doing it live, right, most of the time. So you can
edit and re-chop.
That's it. Yeah. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Collaborations and partnerships seem to be, a pivotal focus for you right now, aligning yourself with some brands and creating content for them. Talk to me about, your partnership strategy and what you're doing to leverage your audience.
So there's two ways I currently partner with brands. So one is, I guess, acting as an influencer, where they'll work with me on promoting one of their products in my recipe. So that encourages other people to purchase that exact ingredient to create the recipe that I've come up with. So that's, I guess, the first pillar. And that's really important because I can encourage people to purchase products for them. And that also helps, I guess, my legitimacy across my followers, is in people
100%.
know that I'm quite respected by other brands and they trust me to use their products and they want me to influence people with that. And then the second way is I work with a lot of brands creating content that you don't see on my page. So a lot of brands just want to grow their own social pages, which I think is really important. Not just working with influencers, you've got to have your own kind of community inspiration behind. So I'll work with them on a full strategy on how they can grow their socials as well. So yeah, I love working with brands, I guess, in Australia, because I can grow with them as well, and we can help, each other in terms of collaborating across posts.
Yeah.
And kind of gain the same audience.
Yeah, well, you're essentially cross-pollinating each other's audience, right? And making sure that it is relevant for both your audiences too. What's been some of the key brands that you partner with that you're proud of?
Key brands, I'm loving working with Arnott's at the moment.
Okay. What did you do for them?
Well, I just did some ice cream sandwiches for them. So they obviously have a different focus each year on what biscuits they really want to promote. And I love that it's like all their old school biscuits, so the ones that we kind of grew up on. So yeah, they're malto milk biscuits. I think I'll be on TV with them in a couple of weeks, which will be exciting. Yeah. Baker's Delight, I'm just creating content for them, a couple posts on my page, but it's really fun to kind of get creative with the old school things, like
the trademark brands.
Yeah, like the cheesy bacon roll and how I can stuff that with a BLT, or their cheesy mite scrolls. We made a bacon and egg roll with that. Like,
so good.
It's fun to get creative. But then there's a couple other smaller brands like Mingle Seasoning, who are just emerging. And I think it's really important, like when I'm working with brands, to actually just believe, when I choose a brand to work with, that I believe in what they're promoting. So Mingle is all about, using healthier ingredients instead of just, salt and all these additives in their spices. So that's something I really want to focus on, is choosing brands that align with my values.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you don't want to just start going rogue with accepting all these different partnerships, right?
I definitely don't do that.
Has there been some that you just like, absolutely not, that have reached out to you?
More so American brands that I'm not across, like, their reputation, their values, and I don't really know what they promote. So not a heap, but probably just overseas brands.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Now, I think like there's a lot of people out there that, get a lot of following, they've got a lot of traction online. I think the whole step of like what you've done with securing these partnerships is awesome. The fact you've done it in only 2 years, and the fact that you've monetized it. Let's talk about, I guess that ideation and thinking around like, cool, I've got this audience, what am I going to do with it? And how you've ended up getting, over 100,000 subscribers on Substack.
Yeah, so I guess my recommendation would be to start off with your passion. So what are you kind of constantly thinking about all the time? Like, do you have an interest in beauty? Do you have an interest in food? Do you love talking? So could you be on a podcast? Have a think about what you're really passionate about, because that is what could be your brand in the future. So I was always passionate about food. I honestly did not think that it was going to blow up into, a bit of an online sensation. But
hidden talent.
But think about what you're passionate about, and then kind of think about how you can monetize on that creativity. So if you do want to go down the content path, share what you're passionate about, talk about that beauty brand, start creating food content. And then I never really had a plan to sell my recipes online. It kind of just eventuated, but kind of have a think about what you can provide value-wise that people can't Google or get for free.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Like, I think we default to like easy information, and a lot of the times it won't stick because we've got a plethora of information at our fingertips with Google, even ChatGPT now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're just doing tips around cooking, it's like people probably aren't going to resonate well with it because they've got cookbooks, but what you're doing, it's unique recipes that no one can find anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. So you can pretty much Google any recipe and find them online. But what I do is I put a lot of time and effort into coming up with different ways and different, like at the moment I'm focusing on high protein, low calorie. So there's specific measurements and ingredients and, you know, some smart swaps here and there, like using Greek yogurt instead of sour cream or mayonnaise. So those smart swaps that I've collected throughout the years through recipe testing, those kind of things you can't really just Google online in the exact quantities to fit your calories and macros. So there's a lot of time I spend on that. And that's kind of what I keep behind a paywall. And I guess like I wouldn't really say it's gatekeeping, especially because it is my full-time job and I put a lot of time and effort into it. And a lot of other things I do give out for free as well. Yeah. So it's kind of, my recommendation would be have a look at what you're passionate about and think what areas of that you can put behind a paywall or how you can monetize on it so people can benefit from a bit of free and a bit of paid. It's
so smart and so simple. How do your subscribers, I guess, become a subscriber and how does that model work?
So I currently keep a link in my bio where people can sign up. So I don't actually keep the recipe in the caption. So I kind of say, you know, if you want the full recipe, you can head to my Substack. I do think the recipe videos I create, I do include every single step. So if you do watch it a couple times, you'll be able to get it. I'm not trying to trick people, but I do like short content because I think that's what performs best and visually that's what I like watching.
Because we've got no attention span anymore.
Oh, everyone's got like 15 seconds. I was watching a movie the other night and I was like, I'm bored. I want to pick up my phone and play on TikTok. It's kind of scary.
It is bad.
But yeah. So I guess the customer journey is they'll view one of my videos online, and then they can go onto Substack. They leave their email. And they can choose to be a free subscriber, which gives you access to a couple recipes per month. And then if you become a paid subscriber, it's 20 recipes a month. So you gain access to my whole recipe archive, which is over 350 recipes now with videos included. And then 20 new recipes a month, which is a bit of pressure to create.
That's a lot.
But it's like a magazine subscription, you know, and I charge $5. So it's kind of like the same as what you'd get elsewhere.
Yeah, that's so good. And that's a low ticket margin, right? And I think people would get enough value even off a few recipes, let alone 20 on $5 a month. So that's really smart you've done that. And I guess you've also got the free component, right? So you're building a database in the process, which essentially is your IP.
Yeah.
So what are you doing like with that database to leverage as well as your subscribers?
Well, the free database is large. It's about 100,000. So it's kind of, you know, giving them some free recipes. I've started to introduce some tips and tricks as well. So tips about meal prepping, tips on how to cook the perfect steak, how I grew my following. So not just recipes as well, because that's what people really want to see is like the person behind the brand and engaging with their audience. I also send out emails to the free subscribers being like, join my community chat. So I really kind of want to get the audience engaging and a real conversation going. Like I want to see everyone cook up my recipes every single night.
Yeah, so good.
Everyone always comments on my Instagrams and TikTok being like, oh my God, this is delicious. I made this last night. And I'm like, I want to see it. Yeah. So I really want to start to create that community vibe where, you know, everyone can post every night being like, oh, I did this, but, you know, I overcooked it a bit. So I decided to add this, you know, like I want people to all interact about my recipes and even tweak it if they wish.
And how do they in terms of building that community? Because I know like you're showcasing your recipes, people are probably commenting. How is there any other area where you're sort of getting them to send you stuff, or like how are you sort of interacting with them mostly?
It's all on the Substack chat.
Okay, Substack. Yeah.
A lot of people message me on Instagram DMs, or just on stories as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And do you think timing has been a good thing for you? Because like I feel we were talking about it earlier. Like why is everyone doing dry February? You know, like there's this societal push towards healthier lifestyles, healthier living, healthier eating. You know, like the run clubs, everything's going on right now. Wind the clock back 15 years ago, it wasn't like that, even 10 years ago, potentially. Do you think that societal shift has helped this movement, or like how important's timing been?
I think a little bit, but I think I've just kind of grown with that. So when I first started this, it was kind of viral recipes, so bulldog rum and the kind of heavier foods. But then I realized not only did people not want to see that kind of food, well, they did.
The heavier foods?
Heavier food. They wanted to see something that they could actually cook at home and it be healthy. It was also food that I wanted to eat as well. I was like, it was a lifestyle shift for me. So I was like, I actually want to eat healthier. I prefer high protein, low calorie, and I want to get creative with it and not just eat a boring salad. So yeah, I just kind of have gone with the trend as well. I think definitely food and eating and being healthy has evolved in the last 15 years. I guess when I was at Equolution 5 years ago, they had a real focus on high protein, low calorie and, you know, having your cake and eating it too. And I think, Move With Us and a couple other EBT similar likes, they kind of introduced that 5 years ago, and now it's just kind of readily available everywhere. So everyone's realizing that you kind of can enjoy the food you love while reaching your weight loss goals.
Yeah, and there's only so many eggs you can discard of, and ice cream sandwiches you can make, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, you could treat yourself every now and then.
100%. Don't starve yourself for fun.
Exactly.
Now, in terms of editing, so I know that's probably a big process that you go through with your cooking. I would say like a lot of creators do get stuck with that. I know a lot of brands get stuck with that. A lot of brands that we work with, you know, a lot of our focus is still very much on Meta and Google, TikTok. Brands are still like slow to adopt it, you know, to even create their brand page and to get the right content on there. I still feel like it's a big barrier, particularly for the older generation out there. So like how do you go through that editing process, and is it different on TikTok and Instagram for you?
Same for me. So editing's actually my favourite part.
Okay.
It's the cooking bit, which I'm
You'd
starting
like to hope so, because it'd be like a lot of the job, right?
Yeah. It's actually the cooking bit I'm losing a little bit of interest in.
I was going to say, how do you continue to get motivation to cook all the time?
I get motivation to come up with recipes and to edit, but it's the standing in the kitchen, the cooking and the cleaning. It's so much cleaning.
I can imagine.
Yeah, the editing is my favourite part. I guess personally, my editing has completely evolved. So if you go really deep on my TikTok, it was just no good. The angles weren't good. I didn't even clean my screen before. I wasn't quick. I use the app Splice. I think a lot of people use CapCut. Just whatever you used to, I hate change. So yeah, I used to literally just stand there, film the whole recipe. Say if that recipe took 40 minutes, I would just stand there and film the whole thing. And then when I'd go to edit it, I'd have to chop it all up and watch it for 50 minutes. So it would take me forever. But then as I went, I now know to stop and start. So if I'm just pouring sauce in, stop.
Rather than film the whole thing and then have to find those stop-start points.
Yeah. So it's a lot quicker. But then I've also run into issues where I've forgotten to start it. So I've missed little bits. But haven't had any of those issues lately, which is good. But it's just evolved in terms of, new tripods that I've got, or different lighting or different camera angles. But yeah, no, it's the same on Instagram and TikTok. I kind of just share across both. Yeah,
I'd love to get a bird's eye view of your kitchen when you're filming all of this and the mess that will just be created.
You don't want to see the mess after. People walk into my house and they're like, oh, wait, this is this guy I've been seeing come over and he was like, I thought you'd have like a full like floating kitchen, like, a separate desk and all this kind of stuff going on. I was like, no, it's just this.
So no potential for roommates anymore now that you just 24/7?
Absolutely not. No. It would be nice to have someone to eat all the food though.
Yeah, true.
My neighbour gets a lot.
Yeah, what's the wastage like? What do you do with all of it?
No waste, because at the moment I'm doing a meal prep series, so this is the first time I've had actual like bulk meals kind of come out of my place. So I give them to friends, take them to people, give them to my neighbour, but otherwise I always just cook one person singular recipes, so there's not a heap of waste. And I can always look in my kitchen and go, oh, okay, I've got some coriander left over from yesterday, or I've got some chicken, like how can I use it? So I kind of like use my fridge for inspiration.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, it becomes a bit more of a sustainable approach, because again, you'd probably just get burnt out, right, if you've just got all this food sitting there, all this waste going on.
Yeah, and I'm sick of going to the shops as well. So I want to use what's in my fridge. And I think what I've got in my fridge will be probably similar to what other people have in their fridge as well. So hopefully that can provide some inspiration for others.
Very good. And like, I'm sure there's going to be more evolutions throughout your journey here, given that you are only 2 years into it and already have gained such a massive audience and, getting on live TV, you've got your subscribers. Like, is there any other things you're thinking of in terms of this evolution and how you're going to build out this business?
Yeah, so I think I'll keep going with what I'm doing and the platforms that I'm on. I really want to introduce Pinterest and YouTube. Yeah, one thing I would really recommend for future creators is to really spread yourself across a lot of platforms.
We always advise that, like throwing your eggs in one basket. Like imagine if you're only on TikTok and you had all this following and your account got hacked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, my TikTok got taken down about a year ago for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Spoke to them about it and everything. They're like, oh, sorry, like an AI just kind of cut it out. And I was like, this is my full-time job.
Yeah, and people don't realise that. There is AI bots that trawl or crawl all of accounts, and if there's certain things that go against that algorithm, they'll shut you down.
Shut it down, yeah. And I didn't have an Instagram at the time, so I completely panicked.
Wow.
But yeah, that's my one recommendation is don't spread yourself too thin. But in terms of future for me, next 3 to 5 years, I'd probably say I am in discussion at the moment with some publishers about a recipe book.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I never thought I would do a recipe book before because I was like, everything for me is online.
Online,
but
yeah, true.
It will tap into a different audience. There'll be
I guess you can still buy that online, right? So that it just becomes the physical version.
Exactly, yeah. And, I've got 350 recipes online. This recipe book will have new recipes in it and only 80. So I think they'll kind of work together in terms of tapping into a new audience and if people want it physical as well.
And then you get to do a book tour, get signage going on.
Come and get my autograph.
So good.
And maybe even a cooking show.
Ah,
so stay
wow.
tuned.
Lots on the go. I tell you who I just stumbled across last night was Huey. Old school Huey?
Yes.
I fucking almost forgot about him. And I'm like, this is so good. He's back. Like, he's got his TikTok and he's got his Instagram. I found him on Instagram because I don't use TikTok that much. But I went over to his TikTok. I'm like, fuck, I'm so happy he's back.
Yeah, well, he was nominated for Food Content Creator of the Year at TikTok. So he was sitting on the same table as me. It was hilarious. So I think his daughter put him up because she was there as well. And we were watching all the performances going on at the TikTok Awards, and Jojo Siwa, I think that's her name, got up and started singing some rogue song about karma. I've got the videos on my phone. I'll show you after. And she's like flipping her hair back and forth, like going wild. We're all loving it. And Huey's just sitting there going,
what the fuck?
What the fuck's going on? My daughter dragged me into this shit.
Yeah, do you reckon that's what's happened? Because he's been like, there's been quite a bit of time out of TV. And then he's got daughters that maybe have got him back online? Is that what's happened, do you think?
Maybe. I don't know his story, but I'm assuming he must have been the chef in their family. And maybe they were like, you have to. Yeah, you're a great cook. Let's go on. And everyone loves him.
Everybody loves him. It was one of the first comments I read, which I laughed at, was, I could never forgive you for disturbing my cartoon time. Now I wish that I watched you so I could just enjoy like a national treasure.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. But I think like a lot of people have, been in one industry and then come over to the food world.
Yeah.
Because everyone is passionate about food. And I guess food and cooking, it's like a talent that you bring on from earlier years.
For sure.
So example, the guy, Michael Finch, who won Food Content Creator of the Year for TikTok, he used to be a makeup artist and then has completely rebranded and just loves food and he's fantastic at it.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe one day you can be a chef on MasterChef.
No, I don't think I would do that. I don't have the skills.
That would be tough, because you need to have such a plethora of knowledge of everything on that show and to critique everything as well and to know the ingredients.
Yeah.
Like that would stress me out.
Well, that's one thing with me is I don't think I'm a chef. I'm more of a content creator.
Yeah.
So I know food that tastes delicious. I know what works. But when it comes to MasterChef or being a chef, it's a full-blown science. Like you've got to balance your salt with your sweet and, all that kind of stuff that I don't really know. I know like the simple at-home cook like recipes, but not when it comes to like gastronomy and using an ice cream machine and all these fancy things.
Yeah, no, not for me either. But never say never.
Yes.
Now in terms of like TikToks, I know there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's one thing that we've been looking at quite closely. We've got TikTok reps, so we're sort of always align ourselves with the platforms to get up to date with what's going on. TikTok Shop has launched over in America. I heard recently that someone made over 40 million in 1 month just on TikTok Shop as a creator.
God, that sounds good.
So like the opportunities there for a lot of creators, I think it's coming to Australia in the next 3 to 6 months. So important to sort of stay on top of that. Any plans around TikTok Shop at all, or?
No plans.
No plans, okay.
Haven't spoken to my TikTok rep about that. 40 million a month sounds nice.
What the hell, right?
After this, yeah. Hello.
Did I just give you a good idea then?
Yeah, you did. You want a cut?
Yeah, 100%.
No plans there.
I'll take 5% in perpetuity.
5%? Who do you think you are? 0.5, thank you. No plans there. But I need to start kind of looking into the creator monetization platforms.
Yeah,
as
because
well.
you've got this audience, right? So why not? Like, and that's where you can leverage your brands a lot more as well. So I guess, I mean, I've not used it, but I would, you know, for you, I would think that, you know, having that audience, working with a brand like Arnott's, and then being able to buy that product that you're showcasing, you then get affiliate commissions from that.
Yeah.
Well, so you're not having to then just sell your product, you're making comms off other products too.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I've really noticed about, I guess the intent to purchase, I think, is very different on Instagram than it is on TikTok. So when I had my TikTok, not many people were kind of moving to wanting to convert to purchasing my recipes. When I started my Instagram, the intent to purchase is so much higher. So I think people are kind of scrolling.
So Instagram, high intent to purchase, and more conversions versus TikTok.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
I can also see those stats on Substack to see where they've come from. So yeah, when it comes to Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, a lot of traffic for my Substack is coming from those two platforms. I do think, you know, Instagram and TikTok are quite different, and it's not just an age difference. It's more just like, you know, people are scrolling TikTok to kind of get that 15-second view or, you know, brand and viral and the good laugh, whereas I think on Instagram people are kind of there to research and actually purchase. So whether they're looking for, you know, their favorite brand bringing out a new dress, what can they wear next weekend, they'll go to Instagram. Or if they are looking for a recipe that they want to cook, they'll save it there, or they will. So
they're probably spending more time and going deeper on particular styles of content versus TikTok. It's just sort of like, you know, repetition and just scrolling.
Yeah, I'd say it's more of a brand play on TikTok, if anything, and then actual sales and conversions on Instagram. That's just worked for me.
Yeah, and that's like, we also have that experience because, again, not only are brands slow to adopt on TikTok to create the content, but purchasing on it from ads is a bit more of like cast the net wide strategy versus like Meta. You can go so granular. You know, and there is that buyer. It's almost like the database on Meta has been conditioned to be purchasing because it is very much a monetized ad platform. Facebook's almost like 90% ads, if not probably more than that. You know, like it's like there's probably no point even posting on Facebook from a company page anymore unless you've got, you know, yourself could be for sure. Like you've got you in your regard 100%, but in terms of like a normal business, you know, that doesn't have many followers, like the engagement is next to nothing.
You need a huge content strategy plan.
And like to get engagement on Facebook is a lot harder. You know, if you got that, then great.
Yeah, I think you need a really streamlined content plan if you do want to grow your Facebook, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, like Facebook Reels, I think that's probably where Facebook's been a bit revitalized.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of my Reels are performing better on Facebook
there
than
you
they
go.
are on any other platform.
Yeah, so the newsfeed probably not so much, but Reels, I spend most of my time on Facebook and Instagram Reels.
Interesting.
Like, yeah.
How do you even see Facebook Reels?
I don't know. They just pop up somehow.
Yeah, but one of mine got like 10 million views the other day, and I'm like, I don't even know how to watch it.
Because like I sometimes forget. I flip between the two, and like I'm naturally just on the platforms doing a ton of research myself. Like I'll actually spend time on looking at ads and go, cool, that's a great ad idea. Send it to my team. But I sometimes don't even realize which one I'm on because I'll go to like share it on Facebook and realize I'm on Facebook. And that, like, I'm just the sharing process, it goes to Messenger. So I'm like, oh fuck, I can't share it because people don't use Facebook. But yeah, it's like the whole user experience has become so similar.
Yeah.
You know,
there's similarities between all the platforms in terms of the tabs or, you know, where your DMs sit and scrolling and, you know, just seeing what your friends post. They're all quite similar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in terms of like how you're engaging with you know, your community on Instagram. Aside from recipes, like, is there any other cool things you're doing this year?
No, just potentially a recipe book.
Okay.
I'll do some more series, come up with some more recipes that people haven't seen before. But yeah, a recipe book, potentially a food TV show.
Very good.
We'll see.
And I'm sure it's not all been like a smooth process to build all this out. Like, you know, I think adversity goes part and parcel with building a business. And I assume that there's probably times where you're just like, fuck, I can't be bothered to do this. Like, what's been some of the challenges with getting this far?
I guess the challenge is that I do everything by myself. So in terms of my accounting, coming up with the recipe ideas, going to the shops to collect everything, cooking the recipe, writing up the recipe, it doesn't get lonely, but I do everything myself. So there is a benefit of working for yourself, the flexibility and, you know, choosing which days suit me. Like I worked all weekend and then I took Monday off. So it really kind of just depends on my body and what I'm feeling. So I can listen to that, which is good. There's the positives and negatives there. But I guess like one of the negative things is trying to explain to people what I do for work and them kind of not taking it seriously.
Yeah, that's right. Because everyone's seeing like all these recipes. It looks fun, you know, you're putting on a happy face all the time, but it's like what the background of that. Like you're managing a full-time business.
Yes.
People don't see that.
No, they don't. I don't think it's other people not realizing. I think it's also my delivery and explaining what I do for work, which I really need to work on.
Well, here we go. People can listen to this.
No, I get so nervous. Yeah, it's the elevator pitch. I just, people say, oh, what do you do for work? And I'm like, oh, I'm a food content creator. And I guess there's a bit of a stigma when it comes to content creation and I guess influencers.
Sure.
So they think, oh, they just like post, what they're wearing online. But there's a full strategy behind it, especially when it comes to food content creation. It's start to finish, back and forth, recipe developing, testing, posting online, editing, working with brands, sending off those emails, getting things approved. It's a huge process. And then writing up that recipe on Substack, making sure that the link's in your bio. There's all these like mini steps. It's not just a 9 to 5. You've kind of got to be on at night time when you post the recipes. You've got to, look at the data and the analytics that you've been given by these, by TikTok and Instagram and see what you can do on it to improve. So people don't realize the hugeness or the amount of work that goes into the back end of what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
So I guess that's the hard thing about running my own business is they kind of just look at the platforms from the front of Instagram and TikTok and not realize kind of all the effort that goes into it behind.
Yeah. And I'm sure like obviously you've gained a lot of inspiration from your previous roles at Equolution and Bumble and stuff like that. Like I'm sure that there's people that you're sort of leaning into who's been some like really key people throughout the process that you've sort of just been like, calling up for advice or
probably
whatever.
Michelle.
Okay,
so she was the leader of Bumble in Australia back 5-6 years ago.
Shout out Michelle.
We are constantly, I guess, sending each other voice notes with ideas.
Cool.
She's just started a podcast with Mama Mia, a biz podcast, and I listen to that all the time. And although, kind of the normal career world and asking for pay rises and stuff doesn't really relate to me anymore, but I found that those kind of tips really interesting, and I wish that they were kind of around when I was younger because that would have definitely helped. But yeah, I always kind of turn to my friends for different areas. So I guess when it comes to business and growth, I'll talk to Michelle, and then just my usual girl chat group. So I don't have a team around me who can tell me if a recipe looks ugly, so I'll send it in the group and go, what do you guys think of this? So I kind of feel, although I don't have a team, like my friends and previous work colleagues are my team. Yeah,
that's great. Now, what's like, if there's one thing you could just take away from the whole process, what would it be? Cleaning?
Yeah, cleaning. I don't know. I do kind of love it all.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah. I don't really have anything. The cleaning, but I'm the one that created the mess in the first place.
True.
So.
Yeah. What's the number one rule, right? But there's people. It's always a divide on this argument. But if you cook, are you the one cleaning, or is the other person cleaning for you?
I think it depends on who's had the roughest day.
Because you can't just cook and create like an enormous amount of mess, and then the other person has to clean, and then if you cook, you're like tidy.
I think it's nice to clean together.
Yeah,
Are we talking about in relationship sense?
Oh, just anything. Could be a roommate, could be a relationship.
Oh, I think it depends on the state of the mess.
True.
It's hard for me because I'm creating content, so I can't really clean as I go. So it's an absolute bomb site. And then I just bought a cat, but
Welcome to the cat family.
I love cats.
Yes.
I love your cat.
Yeah, Cosmo.
Cosmo and Nori, they should be besties.
100%.
Okay,
I'm coming over and I'm going to watch one of your recipes and the cats can play.
Oh, yeah. But I usually, before I got him, would just leave the mess in the kitchen and then just go edit it and
What's
then
his
kind
name?
of come back. Nori.
So good.
Well, it has to be food related, obviously.
Yeah,
but now he just kind of gets into all the food, so I've got to clean it straight up after. So he's kind of whipping me into line.
That's
which is good.
Yeah. The first team member.
Yeah, literally. I love to eat a lot of my food as well.
That's so good. Very good. So I'm sure a lot of people might be listening to this, I'm sure there's a lot of people sort of aspiring to your journey, how you've built such a great following audience and business, and I think just giving some general advice to other people wanting to start their journey, or maybe they're going through their journey a bit stuck, what's some of the key points or tips you'd be giving, some of your followers?
I'd probably say start with what you're passionate about and really engage with your audience. So when you make that first post, if it's not, super viral, kind of send it to your friends, or if you get comments on it, kind of ask people what they thought about it.
So getting feedback.
Yeah, getting feedback, really engaging with them, asking what they want to see, looking at the results from that and then repeating it in a different way. I guess one thing I'd say probably to stop doing is I guess, chasing every trend and vanity metric. So I do see a lot of brands and content creators just jumping on trends. And, you know, that's great and it can go viral. But if that's not your core value and what you want to sell, then it's just going to look like a bit of a mess. And you may get followers, but then you'll lose them on the next post.
Yeah, so true.
So
yeah, I'm sick of just hearing the same song over and over again. I know that's a big part of like jumping on trends, but people are just copycats out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's been like part of your success is having that point of difference and being unique.
100%. And I think in terms of vanity metrics, like people just look at the likes and the comments and they think that's everything. So, you know, sometimes I'll create a recipe and it's one of my lowest views, but it's one of my most highest paid on TikTok, on Substack. So people will really want to actually make that recipe, even though it's not viral. So I guess like just chasing likes and comments and views isn't actually going to convert to sales of what you're trying to sell. And
you pointed out systems there. I know we've mentioned a few already, but like what are some of the key systems that you can't live without to run the business?
Probably the analytics that are provided to me by the platforms.
So Substack.
Yeah, Substack provides me with a lot of analytics, like where my followers are coming from. I also think the stats that Instagram and TikTok give you in terms of retention are really important for my strategy. So I do notice that a lot of the content that goes viral has been seen by like 30% of people to the end. So that's a bit of a tactic for me when editing the video. How can I keep people on to the end? So is that having a little snippet of the recipe at the beginning or encouraging people to stay on to the end to see where I've gone with each step.
Yeah, so you're definitely not just like creating this viral video and going, yep, that's cool, I'm just going to leave that going. Like you're actually measuring, you're looking at the data and you're iterating and, you know, and then actually like, optimizing as a result of that data.
100%. Continually looking at the analytics I've been given and how I can improve.
Yeah, that's such an important thing because like, you know, that's a big part of advertising. Like you're always looking at the data, but I think like organically, maybe a lot of people neglect that, you know, like who's actually watching my video, at what point are they dropping off, how do I change that for next time, and then continue to improve from there.
100%.
Yeah. In terms of like any paid media or any other promotions that you're doing, like is there any thought process around, like I'm sure you're probably running some ads right now to join your recipes if you are, I don't even know, but like you've built such a great organic strategy. Is there any plans to start running other promotions outside of your following?
Yeah, so when I do a 30-day series, which I've done in September, I've only done 2. It was in September, so that was posting every single day for 30 days.
Yeah, wow.
And then to launch 2025, I did 30 days of high protein, low calorie recipes, so kind of kickstart the new year with some healthy, delicious recipes. So during those 30-day periods, I have run ads, but they just don't perform as well as my organic.
No.
And the guy I've got running my ads, you know, he's got a separate URL to my URL, and I also offer 30 days free, so people can see one of my recipes, they can sign up and get 30 days free access to my whole recipe archive and every recipe that I bring out for that series, and they can decide to stay on if they want to or not. So I have run ads before and I will continue to do so just because I think it's good to have both kind of running. But for me, my organic strategy is what drives more clicks and views. And I do like ads because you can specifically target certain audiences, and I'm really focusing on Australia and you know, both male and female at the moment. But not all year round.
Yeah, we're working with a brand right now, and he's got sort of building up his personal brand and using a content agency to film everything. And there's been a bit of a debate that, you know, if you are posting organically with a personal brand and then running ads, it can diminish the organic growth. Now, I don't know if that's a rumor. Meta will never probably admit to that because they obviously want people to advertise and not have a problem with advertising. What's your thoughts on that?
I haven't noticed anything.
Yeah, okay. I think it is case by case, to be honest. I don't know if there's a golden rule there.
I'm trying to think now. I guess it depends if you're boosting it or if you're running a full ad set behind.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't noticed anything. I think it really just depends on the content you're posting organically.
Yeah, okay.
I think even if you put, you know, ad spend behind a terrible video, it's just not
going to work.
So
no, exactly.
It's a combo of both. I think a lot of people, you know, think some content's great and they post it and like, I don't get it. I'm like, well, you need to get some feedback from
because you put money behind it doesn't mean it's going to work.
Yeah, 100%. And that cost per view is so expensive. So I think I would probably work on improving the content you're putting out before just throwing money behind it.
Yeah. And like, I think this is always a question, even from day dot of social media, how often to post and when to post. Is there any sort of feedback on that?
I post probably 5 times a week, and it's a mix between 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. I think that's
so
kind
before
of...
or after work?
Yeah, before or after work. I obviously base that off the stats that Instagram and TikTok give me. You can see kind of when most of your followers are online, but it's also when I'm scrolling most as well. So, or before, this is my full-time job. I'm scrolling all the time.
Non-stop.
But when I was working 9 to 5, I was kind of, scrolling when I would wake up, scrolling, on the way to work. Not driving, sorry. I used to get the bus to Manuel.
Everybody does it, as long as it's in the cradle.
Yes. And then, just before math starts, so.
Oh, God, Married at First Sight.
Oh, God, I love it.
Too good.
See me on it next year.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the next partnership and cameo you do.
Maybe.
Now, if you were to start all over again,
Oof.
What would you do?
Oh, look, I probably would be doing what I'm doing now.
Okay.
But I probably would have started it earlier.
Yeah.
But then, I wouldn't have learned all the things I have along the way in my previous jobs. And as we discussed, I still don't even know what I'm going to be in 5 years. So I've never really kind of thought this is a business I really want to be in. This is where I'm kind of taking it. This is what I should have done. I've just kind of gone with the flow. But yeah, I would do exactly what I'm doing now. And I like that, I don't really have a massive business plan ahead because I can kind of adapt here and there, and then I don't get disappointed if something doesn't perform or
Sure.
Or if
and
it
like
doesn't
you need
succeed.
it, we always sort of mention this, you need a sense of naivety, you need a sense of optimism with business. I think if you know exactly what's involved, then, you'll probably approach it too structured and too risk adverse. So yeah, it's important to sort of just not wing it, but have some sort of plan, but also go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. So aside from, your business network, leaning into Michelle and the likes, is there any other sort of key partnerships you're looking to or sort of aspiring to be part of at all?
In terms of partnerships?
Yeah,
or...
any brands that you're fuck, I really want to work with them.
I'd love some... one thing I really want to do this year is kind of branch out of just recipes. So I'm working with Eddie Levy from Osborne House and Mateo. So I'm going to work with some of their head chefs. So as I said before, I'm not a chef, I'm a content creator. So I really want to learn some new tips and tricks from chefs and kind of learn to recreate such delicious food that you can get in restaurants at home. Not to take people out of restaurants, but just to kind of help them create content for their pages, but also get inspiration on how I can really refine my cooking and create those things at home. So kind of, looking into the restaurant world a little bit. So you'll see some partnerships there, potentially hotel groups and travel. And I'd love to work with Amex if they're listening.
And just get an unlimited platinum card in return.
Yeah. Well, I spend a lot on it, so it'd be nice to get something in return. Yeah. But I think broadening outside of the kitchen and just my little checkered shopping board and showing people a little bit more of me and engaging with my community.
Yeah, because it is very heavy on recipes, right? So now you're starting to get behind the camera a little bit more, show your face and the partnerships and expose that.
Yeah, so I kind of just at the end of a recipe, just nibble on a bit of the food and I'm like, oh, this is delicious. And everyone's like, you need to get yourself in it more. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? Do I say oh, I'm now pouring the milk in, So it's but I'm engaging with them more on stories, getting myself in it, doing some taste testing. So I think it'll be really exciting working with restaurants and hotels on bringing their kind of their life into my world. And a lot of these chefs aren't content creators, so we can kind of learn from each other, which is exciting.
And a lot of brands today need to do that, positioning yourselves with other partnerships and collabs that make sense for that brand is such a key way for growth and to show credibility and authenticity in the market, right?
100%.
And trust is such a massive thing. And the beauty with online right now, with Instagram, and I'm sure TikTok too, is that you can collaborate. So, you can tag that person, you can show that you're collaborating. It goes on both your feeds. So we've got the opportunity to do that. Whereas I think that collaboration feature wasn't even around 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And as I was talking about how I, discuss things with friends and Michelle and that they are my team behind me. One thing I love about the food content creator world is everyone kind of helps each other. So I have collaborated across some other Australian content creators with using that collaborator tool. So you can kind of share audiences, show that you're working on ideas together, come up with recipes together. And I think being in the food world is very different to, I've never been in fashion and beauty, but I think there's no kind of stigma or tall poppy syndrome when it comes to creating food and content. One of my friends, Miranda, who's a content creator, she messages me all the time being like, oh, this is such a you recipe, this is such a sushi recipe, and I'm not really a breakfast person, so I'll never really cook with oats, so I'll send this to her and be like, this is a bit of you know.
Yeah, cool.
There's no like competition, we're all kind of helping each other. So that's one thing I really love about the food content creator world, is you don't feel like super lonely when you don't have a team, because you can constantly message other people for advice and things like that.
And I honestly think that is the common thread with like a lot of people that I talk to on this podcast, is that they never have a stigma or mentality around like competition and not sharing their thoughts and strategies in their business, but yet they're more than willing to offer it and collaborate even with people that are in the same industry. I think that is such a key thing, to have that mentality.
100%. And I think if you've gone through it all as well, like you might as well share that advice. Like I'm currently consulting for a woman who owns, or she's just kind of blown up on Instagram. She's like a mum and she does all these experiences in Sydney. So like, this is what you should be doing on the weekend. And she's kind of reached out to me, and I speak to her every day, and she's now got these brands coming to her, and she doesn't know how to price herself. So it's really interesting. Kind of, I'm going back to the olden days where I was kind of having these negotiations with people. She's like, you know, should I be charging more for them to be using the content? And I'm like, oh God, you know, like there's so much to learn, and there's no one set rate card either. People, you know, brands will always reach out to me and be like, what's your rates? And I'm like, what's the job to be done? You know, is it just to create this content? Does it go on my page? Do you want advertising spend? If so, like how many days are you boosting it for?
How long do you want to use it for?
There's no, you know, and what's the recipe? How long is that going to take me? Is it fancy ingredients? Do I need to buy a new appliance? Like there's kind of so much that goes into, I guess, pricing yourself.
There's no cookie cutter strategy, excuse the pun.
Definitely not. Yeah, it works for me. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Well, before we finish up, I'd like to get some sort of insight into, I guess, what's outside of the kitchen and the recipes for Tor.
Ooh, scary.
So, I mean, hobbies go hand in hand, you know, interests outside of work. Like, how do you switch off, refresh, reset, and, you know, get those creative juices flowing? Like, what's a sort of like good, you know, break away from that? What's that look like?
Yeah, well, I spend a lot of time in my kitchen and at home. You know, like I don't have an office workspace. So I'll literally wake up in the morning, go for a walk, get coffee, cook in my kitchen, edit on my couch, cook in my kitchen, go to bed. I do see friends and have a life outside of that. I'm not a complete loser, but
there's more to that.
Yeah, I do spend a lot of time at home. So I guess when it comes to, you know, relaxing and hobbies, I do love just kind of interstate travel. Got a lot of friends that live in Brisbane. My best friend Lou just moved to Melbourne. So I do like quick little weekend getaways, just to kind of really relax and reset, and obviously eat at delicious restaurants up there. Always taking photos of the menu and the food. I'm that person that stops everyone.
Because you get like a tremendous amount of inspiration when you travel, right? Like,
absolutely.
We're obviously spoilt for choice in Sydney, but traveling would give you so much ideas.
It does, yeah.
So work expense with Amex.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything's tax deductible.
So good.
So yeah, that's kind of what I love to do. There's definitely days where I'm like, I'm so sick of my kitchen and so sick of being at home. So a little escape. I love a good road trip. So yeah, just kind of getting away.
Yeah. Any Europe trips planned? I know last time we were there was, how long ago? It was 2018, wasn't it?
Was I there with you?
Yeah. 2018 in Positano.
Oh, that was that one. Yeah. Oh, Positano.
That was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, that was good fun.
Wow.
I think I'm seeing you there in August this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Round 2 or 3 or 4.
What are we thinking? Italy, Croatia, Mykonos?
I reckon I'm thinking London, then trains to Amsterdam, then down. Yeah, because it's only 2 hours from London to Amsterdam, so no point flying.
Yeah. Okay.
You just get on the train. And then and I've got a fear for losing my luggage because I've lost it twice.
Oh, unlucky.
On the same trip too.
Yeah.
And you sometimes days without your luggage. So I've got to like rethink of how I get like a second luggage bag just in case that happens again.
Got to get that air tag.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, so London, Amsterdam, down to Mediterranean. And then I want to stop over in Dubai on the way home so I can have a go at that wave pool.
Dubai is sick.
Yeah.
Just the wave pool? You want to go shopping?
No, shopping. Yeah,
like what's a new Rolex?
No. I'll be broke by then. It's the end of the trip.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Paul.
Yeah. Are you thinking the same?
I think so. Potentially August.
Yeah.
I'll probably do a winter meal series. So soups and those kind of delicious things, and then relax in August.
So good. Well, I look forward to it. Now, last but not least, if you could wind the clock back to your 18-year-old self, what would you say? I knew
this question was coming. Are we talking work or personal?
Whichever way you'd like to answer it.
Oh, I guess like in terms of work, I guess, and personal, just stick to your values. So I guess when it comes to a job, you know, if the way you're being treated by a boss, or, you know, the company's going in a direction that you don't kind of believe in, or if it's taking too much time out of your personal life and that's not really what you want to concentrate on at the moment. So I remember there was this one job I had, and we were literally working till 11 p.m. at night and on weekends. And a core value for me at that time was, you know, my partner and my family and friends. And I was just giving way too much time to my job. So it wasn't really aligning with my values at that time. And I guess, yeah, when it comes to relationships and friends, just ensure that they've got your kind of values and go with that.
That's such a good piece of advice, like staying true to yourself and authentic. So I feel like there's a lot of people out there working for a job for the money. They're not really being true to themselves. You know, it's not aligned with their values and vision. And there's so much opportunity out there. So why not?
100%.
Well, Tor, thank you so much for sitting down. It's been awesome to get further insight into the engine of what is Recipes by Victoria. Congratulations on your success. And I'm looking forward to some cocktails in Europe in August.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on. I'll see you in August.
Pleasure.